I also remember looking up that Photojournalists back in 2001 had just started using a Canon D30, which I think was their very first. Their very first digital camera that was put out into newsrooms. So even for 2001, for September 11th, 2001, a lot of the media was created on film, and a lot of the media was created on, like VHS tape or like really low megapixel, like maybe 3 or 2 megapixel cameras back then. So I thought that was really interesting. I mean, I think it was like another year or another I think the Nikon D1 had just come out, which I'd probably talked about on this podcast before. That was like one of the first cameras. So there's really only a couple digital photography options back then. The idea of cell phone videos, imagine what that kind of event would have been like if every single person had a feed of video that had been uploaded or recorded on the day of an event like that. So that's what's really interesting about kind of the changes in those events as we kind of progress through history. But I was also thinking back to like Vietnam too, where there was a lot of video. Well, I guess the Vietnam era, maybe the era of the 60s, the era of the protests and the riots that had gone on to end Vietnam now and to get the civil rights bill passed. There's a lot of media created around that we still see in history books now, but a significant amount of that media was really all created by the press at the time. And that's sort of the divergence that we're seeing now, is that instead of an edited message that was represented by the press, we're seeing an unedited message that's developed and created and shared by a wide population of people across the United States. And then it's sort of edited through the crowd and then edited through the links that you receive. And really, even still, that's probably a manipulation on the total amount of information available. But it's just really interesting to see kind of the changes in progression in media. I'm not saying it's better now or worse than it was before specifically for the application of media to communicate a message to a population. It seemed like, I don't know, it's just interesting to analyze, I guess, kind of the types of things that are changing. I remember, I guess, kind of first thinking about this with the 2000, well, maybe, I don't know, probably not the first time, but I was thinking about this again with the 2017 eclipse. I know it's odd to try and compare these two circumstances, but historically I started thinking about this idea that when the 2017 All-American eclipse happened on, I think, what was it, August 21st, maybe? 17th? 2017? It was 2017, so it was probably the 20th? I don't know what it was, but when we had the All-American eclipse, there were videos and there were great photographs from almost every photographer, every Instagram photographer, every amateur, prosumer, or semi-professional. I have a bunch of photographs from the eclipse that are okay, but everyone was able to capture photographs from all over the country, and that's because they all had a piece of media equipment. And then as you go back in time to different eclipses that have happened in the past, I was trying to do that. I was looking up information when that eclipse was coming up. There's really almost no information about the past cycle of that eclipse. Or, I think it was like back in the 90s, and so you had like some news reports from France or something. It was this kind of wobbly VHS tape that was uploaded to YouTube. There's a couple photos, like 1 or 2 photos from its appearance in 1945, and it's cool to see a black and white photo of an eclipse, but it's like 1 or 2 that exist, and now there's hundreds of gigabytes of images and different sequences and different renderings of how that eclipse progressed and passed. And so just kind of seeing that as a macro of it, or as a polysemic example, the change in time creates a change in the representation of media and how it's used to show what's going on.